All right. So the action, mover, antagonist, and all that, we looked at that. All right. So for instance, to flex the elbow, the prime mover muscle is the brachialis, which is right here, the brachialis, this muscle. All right. The synergist, who's going to help is what? Is the biceps brachii. All right. While the antagonist is what? Triceps brachii. Fixator, which holds the scapula in place, so that the scapula doesn't move. Remember, we got to make it stationary the more, so that we can flex.
The fixator holds the scapula
In place. Because we don't want the scapula to keep dangling around. We got to stable. All right. We call that muscle rhomboid. Rhomboid muscle. That's the name of the muscle. Rhomboid muscle. Okay. All right. The intrinsic and extrinsic muscles. So the intrinsic muscle, we're talking about muscle that we have in a region. It's contained entirely in a region. For instance, the hand. The hand. Right there, we have the muscles origin and insertion. They are right there, the hand. So you can see the muscles of the hand. Okay? All right? So they're right there. So that's intrinsic muscles. All right. While the extrinsic muscles, they are muscles that they work in a particular area, but where they are coming from is from somewhere else. Does that make sense? They act at a particular location, but where they are coming from is from somewhere else. Okay. For instance, the fingers, just like Dr. Goldman showed us. You remember when he did everything, got all the tendons attached to the tip of the fingers, but they were actually coming from the side of the body. So when he pulled the tendons, exactly, we're moving. Exactly. So that's an extrinsic muscles, right? So the extrinsic muscles in the forearm, out of this area, okay, they are working on the fingers. They are working on the fingers because they come from different places. Their action is in different area. Okay. All right. So there is something that we need. That is something that I need to introduce you to. All right. We said the central nervous system, right? I mean, the nervous system, the NS, is divided into what? The nervous system is divided into central nervous system and peripheral. Central nervous system and peripheral. Okay? The central nervous system and peripheral. Okay, the central nervous system and peripheral. So we have the CNS, we have the peripheral. Okay? So the CNS is the brain and the spinal cord. Spinal cord. Remember yesterday we talked about the intervertebral foramen, right? Remember we said the intervertebral foramen is the foramen between the vertebral body, which allows what? The exiting of what?
Nerves.
What nerves? What nerves? Yes, it allows exiting of nerves. What nerves? The intervertebral foramen. The spinal nerves. The spinal nerves. Good. So when the spinal nerves comes out, as part of it, the spinal nerves comes out. Okay. The purpose of every nerve, not just the spinal nerves, is to innervate. Is to innervate the muscle. The purpose of every nerve is to innervate the muscle because that's where the action or the signal is sent to contract. Okay, I'm walking around, my brain is working with my muscle to move backwards, talk, and all those. Everything comes from the central nervous system, which includes the brain and the spinal cord. So they are communicating with my muscle. Okay, but the thing about it is, the muscle, the nerve doesn't get directly to the muscle, just like that. So let me give you a picture of something. So they don't just touch the muscle. Remember we talked about something when we talked about the nerves, the dendrites of a nerve, of an axon. All right, so let's just put it this way. So let's say this is this muscle. All right, so we got the bones here. So we've got the bones. So this muscle is attached to this bone by the tendon. For this muscle to initiate an action, it has to receive a stimuli. So the stimuli comes from the nerves. So every muscle has nerve innervation. Okay, every muscle has nerve innervation. So let's say this is the spinal cord. The spinal cord right here. So we have the spinal nerves coming. Okay, this is the brain. That's the brain. Okay, so the spinal nerves exited to get innervation. I mean, to innervate that muscle. All right. So the nerve doesn't touch the muscle. It doesn't, like as in direct touch. There is a space. Okay, I'm going to blow this out right now. I'm going to blow it out. So let's say we have the muscle this way, just that section. So the nerve coming, so when it branches out this way, okay? It doesn't touch, remember I'm blowing it out. It doesn't touch the muscle directly. So there is a space between the nerve and the muscle. A space. So we call this space, because it's a space or a junction between the nerve and the muscle. This is the nerve. And this is the muscle. So we call it neuromuscular junction. So it's called neuromuscular junction. Neuromuscular junction. Neuromuscular junction. Okay, it's called neuromuscular junction. Now, the signal is coming from the nerve. It's coming from the nerves. The innervation, okay, get this muscle to contract. So when it gets here, so there is the end of the nerve here, the end of the nerve, all right? So in the end of the nerve, let's make it bigger again. So that's the end of the nerve. The end of the nerve, there are what we call vesicles in there. So vesicles. So these vesicles has what we call neurotransmitters. Neurotransmitters. Okay? Now, the function of the neurotransmitter is to allow, remember this is a space, is to help in conveying the action or the signal that's coming from this nerve so that it can get onto this muscle and say, muscle, you need to contract. Okay? So, a very good example or the most common neurotransmitter between the neuron and the muscle is what we call acetylcholine. Acetylcholine. Okay? And this neuromuscular junction. Alright? This neuromuscular junction has to end. This end where we have the vesicles, we call it presynaptic. Alright, let me put it again. The neuromuscular junction between the nerve and the muscle, neuromuscular junction. The space, or we call it synapse. Synapse. Or synaptic clefts. Synaptic clefts.
So
Go ahead.
the space
Yes.
is called this now? That's what you're saying?
Yes. The general name is neuromuscular junction because it's the junction between the nerve and the muscle. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So, which is also called the synapse, the space,
Okay.
which is also called the synaptic clefts.
So the vessels, that's just the
No, the nerve,
transneural,
the nerve.
no, down there, right
The
there.
vesicles, yes.
That's called neurotransmitters. That's
The
what you're saying.
vesicles contains a substances in there. The substances that it
inside
contains
it.
inside the vesicles, they're called neurotransmitters.
Oh, okay.
So an example of that neurotransmitter is acetylcholine. Right? You guys understand this? I'm telling you, your pharmacology class easy. Because we can modulates or we can block the acetylcholine. All right? One of the reasons why people have paralysis, if there is a problem with the neurotransmitters, is not conveying the action to the muscle. Either because of something or the other, they cannot contract. The muscle is just there. And we can, in the OR, we can block it with medications. So that, remember when we are operating on the patient, we need the patient to be relaxed. We also want the patient to not to feel pain. So when we block this acetylcholine, there is no action. So the muscle is much relaxed. We're able to manipulate the body the way we want it during surgery. Yes.
I couldn't see. So the vesicle that you have that's actually at the end of the nerve.
At the end of this nerve here. At the end of this nerve here.
Okay.
Yes. All right.
So, got a question.
Mhm.
I had my nerve.
Hang on one second. Let me finish naming this so
Okay.
that we can use the right terminology. So this end of the nerve, because this is the synapse or synaptic layer. So this end of the nerve, we call it presynaptic. Pre before the synapse, before the space. So this is called presynaptic. Presynaptic. Why this end of the muscle, okay, we call it, it's called post